This is a quick tutorial. I'd like to talk about the options you can export your Revit model or 3ds Max model or SketchUp model into Twinmotion through Expoter. This is a really robust workflow compared to FBX as a file format. There's advantage to have a direct link or datasmith file. So this is actually a really nice web page. You can read the information about what is the datasmith and what is the content, including material, lighting, texture, UV can be embedded into the datasmith format. If you are a Revit user, you can actually drag all the way down to here. You can see this option is called Datasmith Exporter for Twinmotion 2021 Windows. Okay, you might be a little bit confused if you have tracking the Revit and Twinmotion for a long time. You might be confused a little bit. What is the the new name? In fact, if you go to the view the archived versions, you can actually see the options. I think in the early stage when Twinmotion just being acquired by Epic Games, the name is actually called Direct Link. In the 2019, Twinmotion is a direct link, so you can synchronize your Revit model directly into Twinmotion. Since some development over the past few months, I think Epic Games changed the name to Datasmith. This is more consistent with other programs, for example, Unreal. So when you transfer a model to Unreal, it's not really do that through a direct link, it's through the datasmith. So I think they kind of consolidate all the options into datasmith exporter, but you can still do the direct link using this latest datasmith exporter. Just the name is a little bit different, but they are pretty much doing the same thing. Okay, so I will just go ahead download datasmith exporter for Twinmotion 2021.1. Okay, so once you download the package and install the package into Revit, what happens is I can just show you the Revit file. You should have this new tag called datasmith, right? By the way, if you install any new plugins for Revit, they usually show up in a new tag. For example, this is a Rhino inside Revit. This is the one I did long time ago, and here you can see some Revit model made by Grasshopper is actually running directly in Revit, right? Anyway, this is all native in Revit now. So if you go back to Datasmith, you should be able to see this button called Synchronize. This is actually really nice. Since if you launch your Revit without doing anything, if you just make sure the plugin is installed, then when you run Twinmotion, okay, maybe I will just start with a new file so you can see. If you start with a new Twinmotion file, and here you can go ahead choose import, right? This is how you make data inside Twinmotion. So here if you do the import, you do have this option called import direct link. So this is really nice. This is only available once you install the datasmith exporter for Revit. Then you'll see here is the current open file, right? This is called Revit Rhino. This is a weird name, but this is my file, okay? Revit Rhino file. Okay, so I have this file open and I have Twinmotion open. So the only thing you need to do is just simply click OK. I do want to collapse by material. This is something would be really handy because by nature, Revit has hundreds of objects, right? Like moldings, panels, walls, stairs. If you don't collapse by material, you might end up with hundreds of objects. The benefit is you can have control on their material later in Twinmotion individually, right, independently from each other, but also make the things a little bit too complicated. You will have a long list of objects. So my preferred way is just collapse by material. So that means in Revit, you need to assign material first. That's my preferred way, but I totally understand, sometimes if you want to just keep things simple, you want to do the hierarchy. But anyway, I will do this collapse by material and click OK. So now Revit is pushing all the content into Twinmotion. So you can see the result immediately. Right? You see this is pretty nice. If I use a WASD, this is the way you can navigate WASD. So that's your entire Revit model. You can also use your right button. If you hold it, you can sort of change the view. WASD is how you navigate, right? So you can actually see some of this frame structure transferred from Rhino through the Rhino inside the Revit is all transferred here. That's pretty cool. And also I have some tapered beams. This is all transferred from Revit, Rhino as well. It's all there, right? But however, if I click, you see they are kind of collapsed into a single object. The reason is this geometry share the same material, so they are collapsed as one. And you can see you have limited number of materials. This could be really handy in the future if you want to, assign the material. You don't have to do it individually. You can just simply assign these as together. So see all the beams, they have the same material, right? So for the truss, this truss and this frame for some reason has the same material, but now I can just assign them all together, right? I also have the wall. Then I can maybe choose a brick, depends. I can assign the brick wall here, right? It is made in Revit, so all the UV mapping is correct, right? The scale of the wall is correct, but maybe I want to create something like concrete, or maybe just wood. Okay, right. So you have this wood wall right here. I think that's it about this transfer from Revit into Twinmotion. Show you really quick. If you do change something, for example, I change this beam system here in Revit. So maybe I want to make this beam has a different type, right? So here I can change the fix as to 12, hit apply. So they have a different offset, and maybe I want to change the beam type from 30 by 30 to, I don't know, larger one, right? So this is a large beam, right? So once you change it, sometimes I will save the change, and then I will go ahead synchronize. So here in the data smith, you can choose synchronize. So basically push this new frame system into Twinmotion by doing the synchronize. So now if I go back to Twinmotion, I should be able to see this new set of frames. Yeah, it's all updated, right? That's super cool. So you can work on these two programs simultaneously. If you are really handy with Grasshopper and Rhino, you can even run the Rhino at the same time using the Rhino inside. Then you can synchronize Rhino to Revit, then to Twinmotion. So that's something pretty cool. You can try if you want. I think that's pretty much about the data smith. You can always disconnect if you don't like the connection. So this is one way to synchronize. I do want to show you there's another way you can make connection between these two programs. This is called Export 3D View. This is very similar, like if you don't have data smith in Revit, you probably have to go to File. If you want to transfer to Twinmotion, you're gonna use FBX, right? So that is I would say the conventional way without using any plugins. So FBX, you can bring that into Twinmotion. It's not really a direct link, so each time if you want to change, you have to re-export a new FBX, and then in Twinmotion you want to re-import or update that FBX. So this is the conventional way using FBX. Data smith is sort of follow that conventional way. So here if you export a 3D view, you do have this option to do a data smith. So here if I do change the name to test data smith, I could export this as a data smith, right? So keep in mind this is not a direct link, it's not a synchronized link. So after you do that, you can actually close Revit. You don't need anymore. And in Twinmotion, I will just show you if I create a new. You could go ahead, import, and here you can import a file, not direct link. So when you do the import file, you can do datasmith, right? So here I can go to datasmith. I save that in the datasmith folder. So here you go, right? And then you can click open, and you can see this is all the file format it supports through Twinmotion. Okay, OBJ, SketchUp file, datasmith file. All right, and options I will pretty much choose the same way: collapse by material, and then bring the datasmith file. Okay, so it looks very similar. This is not a direct link. Repeat again, but you have all the geometries come from Revit. Okay, and here we can see all the list. I will show you one more time. Let me just new thing one more time. And this time I will import, but instead of choose collapse, I will keep the hierarchy. Just want to show you the difference. So if we do keep the hierarchy, we'll import, you will have a much longer list, right? So here we can see Revit preserved all the pieces. You have railings, you have stairs. So this could be a problem if you are not carefully manage your hierarchy in Revit. You will be overwhelmed with all the options here. So it's up to you. You can decide. One benefit is you can individually change the material, and also you can individually make selection. Once you make a selection using F, you can fit the selection into the view. Okay, so this is shortcut F. That could be pretty handy. F means focus. All right. So that is all options: FBX, datasmith, and direct link. So it's up to you to choose either preserve the hierarchy or collapse based on the material. Right. So here I can individually change the truss. So the truss could have a different material. The wall could have different material. This is all independent from each other. Okay, I think that's it about the Twinmotion. In the future, if you do want to use Unreal, that's a totally different story. Datasmith will be really the best choice. You can get a very robust connection. It's much better than FBX. If you use Rhino, you can actually do the same thing. Direct link or datasmith, it would work. Or if you use SketchUp. All right, I hope this will be useful for you as an introduction of this two program, Twinmotion and Revit plugin for export.